think we are rolling right now. I think let me just try to work on this. Okay, dear students. So for this week, I'm not gonna be able to take the class with you, but it's gonna be a great opportunity to make these videos. I always like to make these videos because it's nice to have instruction and guide when needed, and these videos, like tutoring videos, are gonna be really helpful when necessary, right? So if something happens and we cannot have the class, it's gonna be important to check out these videos. I'm gonna upload it to the official page for tutoring videos of Charlotte English School, and of course, I'm gonna send you the link when needed. I think the last time that I recorded a video was in 2024. So this is my first recording of 2025, and we're gonna check, of course, some of the content that you are gonna be asked to check this week. And of course, we're going to check a little bit of the reading we're doing for the purpose of vocabulary, grammar, and the purpose of communication in class, right? So let's start showing this. I think, well, it's really important that we see this. We have been taking these classes before. We took the leading, we took the reading, we took the grammar, we also took the vocabulary section, if I'm not mistaken. We were talking about this in the previous class. And now we, of course, have to look at the listening section, okay? So for this week's practice, we are going to focus on the listening section. So what do we have in the listening section? Well, we have some set of exercises that we have to do in order to practice, right? So, for example, in the listening section, exercise number one says work in groups. You're not going to be able to work in groups, but you can work by yourself. And also, you can use artificial intelligence, okay? You have to take advantage of artificial intelligence, which is pretty great and awesome for education right now. So, now let's check the vocabulary right here, right? So we are still talking about the senses. So remember that we discussed in the previous class that we had five senses, if I'm not mistaken. Touch, touch, touching, right? Touching. Sight, sight. Smell, you know, taste, taste and hearing, right? So these are the senses, and we have been talking about that in this unit. Actually, the main topic of this unit is senses, right? Wake up your senses, basically. I'm looking right here because I see myself there, but the camera is right here. So, for example, here we have some vocabulary, some phrases that we can also learn. Learning to windsurf. Learning to windsurf is um, and I don't know how to actually or properly define windsurf, but that's a word that you can look up in dictionary. So let me just windsurf, meaning okay, windsurf like this. Okay, to sail across water while standing on a board and holding onto a large sail. So let me look at the picture. Well, this is windsurf, right? This is windsurf. It's not surfing. It's like surfing, but with wings, basically. Then we have talking to a friend, very straightforward phrase, playing the guitar, right? And going shopping, right? Going shopping. Very straightforward vocabulary, very simple, very easy to learn. So check that out in the listening section. Then, of course, we have some images, right? So let's look at the image right here. So some for the sake of practicing, it would be nice if you think about your favorite music, if you think about how your favorite music makes you feel, right? So that's gonna be a good exercise to think about and try to discuss it to yourself and trying to do it aloud. Okay, so what I mean with this, if you're speaking to yourself, I don't know, if you um, if you feel ashamed of doing it in front of other people, and you should, go to your room, or go to a space where there is nobody, and start talking to yourself. Start asking you questions. So, for example, you can ask yourself things like, "Okay, what is my favorite type of music?" And let's do this exercise. So, let's say that I'm alone in my house, and my teacher sent me this homework, sent this video, and he asked me to ask myself this set of questions. So let's start with the first question. What is my favorite type of music? Okay, in general, I like all types of music. Of course, there are some that are my favorite, but I like all types of music. Probably not so much rock or rock and roll, not specifically rock and roll. I think I would say heavy metal or that type of music. I don't actually like that type of music, but in general, I think I like music in Spanish a lot. I also like music in English. I've listened to Japanese songs. I've also listened to Brazilian songs, for example, and I really like them. I've listened to French songs and I really like them. So it's not a matter of language. I think it's a matter of rhythm and how music really strikes you. Actually, I've listened to Russian songs and I've come to to the conclusion that I actually like them, even though I don't understand anything of what they say on the song. I don't understand any of the lyrics. So yes, yes, I would say that that's in conclusion or in definition my favorite type of music. So what I just did is a discussion exercise with oneself, right? Which means that you discuss it with yourself. And I would highly encourage you, and I will highly encourage you to do it with you in this time that we're not going to have the opportunity to practice together. What else do we have here in this page? We have, well, is the listening section. You have access to your platform, which means that you can access the audios in the platform and you can do these exercises by yourself, right? So you're going to listen to a girl talking about her experience of having synesthesia. I'm not pretty sure what synesthesia is. So in the audio, you're going to listen to what synesthesia is. And of course, you're going to guess according to the audio, you're gonna try try to explain with your own words what synesthesia is. Okay. So and then of course you're gonna have an exam T, which is sentence completion. So you better follow this tip. Then you have exercise number 5, which is listen again and complete the sentences with a word or short phrase. Which sentences? These sentences right here. So synesthesia, you're going to listen to the audio and please, you have to complete it with what you listen from the audio. So for example, in the first part, it says, Rachel is disappointed that she only discovered, and you have to complete it, right? I think we can play the audio a little bit. I don't know if this is going to lend me. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can lend. Okay. Let me see. I hope that you can listen to this, yeah? But I'm gonna play the audio, and I hope that you can listen to it. If you don't listen to it, well, you can do it at home with your own platform. So let's listen to it a little bit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. The audio is very long, so I would rather have you doing it at home and not with me right now because this is supposed to be a very short video, informative, short, and concise. So let's continue with the next part. In exercise number 6 or in instructions number 6, you're going to have the next thing to do. Read the sentences. What do the highlighted words or phrases mean? Can you think of other sentences using these words? So, for example, for this exercise, what I'm going to ask you to do is look at the highlighted words. What are the highlighted words? For example, seminars, approved, have concluded, apparently, is affected by, and gift. And I want you to use those words in other contexts and create new sentences. So, for example, let's talk about the word seminars. Let's say I bought, let's make an example. Susan bought tickets for the following seminars in the theater next week. Yeah, I'm making creating sentences with these words. Let's go with the last one, gift, right? Uh, let's ask a question. When was the last time you got a gift? right? When was the last time you got a gift? So I'm creating these scenarios where I can use these words and I use them. As I said, if you're ashamed or of speaking in front of other people, you alone to yourself, go to a space when you're alone and practice your English. Ask yourself this question and follow my instructions for today's practice, okay? For this practice of the book. So that's what you gotta do in this part. And let's continue with the next part, which is the use of English section. Okay, the use of English section is sometimes very challenging. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think when we take classes, this is gonna be one of the most difficult parts to actually grasp in class because in the use of English section, we have to understand what first use of English is, okay? So let me go back here. Use of English in Cambridge. What is it? Okay. Okay. So, for example, first of all, what is use of English? You have to understand this. Use of English is an aspect of Cambridge, is a specific aspect of Cambridge qualifications that they take into consideration for their exams, right? So, use of English is normally going to help us understand specific things. Um, Normally related to the exams, the Cambridge qualifications that people take. So, for example, use of English tests your use of English with tests that show how well you control your grammar and vocabulary. So, use of English is mainly about grammar and vocabulary. So, we're going to learn a lot of grammar structures and vocabulary in this section of the use of English, okay? So, for example, let's look at this first section of use of English number one. And of course, we are going to expand the explanation and learning of this part in class because I think this is very important to take into consideration. So, in the first instruction, we have the following. Read the grammar box, complete the questions using the correct form of the verbs in bracket. Okay, so what we have to do here, right, is to complete the questions using the correct form of the word in brackets. So normally it's not going to be the same. It could be another thing. So for example, do you speak English? Good. It says good. But what is the correct way to complete this sentence? Or this question actually? It's not good. I cannot say, do you speak English good than your parents? It makes no sense because right here we're dealing with the comparative structure. And when we make comparative structures, we have to transform good, we have to make good. Now it's not good because it's a comparative. It is now better, better, okay? Because better is the comparative form of the adjective good. So, do you speak English better than your parents? Let's make another example. Right here, number two. What time of the day did you study? Okay, what time of the day do you study? And now I think that's very difficult. I think we're gonna do that in class. Well, it's not that difficult, but I can explain it better in class. Let's go with the next one better. Number three, if your homework is difficult, yeah, this is gonna be actually that. If your homework is difficult, who do you talk to? Okay, let's continue with another example so I can better explain what I'm talking about. Number four, can you run? Okay, this is also a comparison, but the correct structure here is as fast, right? Can you run as fast as your friends? So this topic of the use of English is something that can be very explained in class, and I think we're gonna grasp it in class, and we're gonna have a better understanding if you're there and you practice with me and you ask me the necessary questions for it. But the main thing that we are going to explore and learn in this section of the use of English is going to be, I'm sorry, the comparative forms, okay? The adjectives and the adverbs. So, for example, We can use adjectives and adverbs with one or two syllables in a very specific way. For example, women are more likely to have the condition than men. We can also use them emotionally, so we're going to use more emotionally. We're going to use some structures that are not like that, right? So we are going to learn all the comparative forms in English, right? That's specifically what we're gonna do here in this section of use of English. What I'm going to ask you to do is to look for information on the internet about all the comparative structures that exist. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to look at the internet, and I'm going to send you some videos along with this as well, so you can look at comparative forms that can help you, have a better understanding when you get to class on the following Saturday, not tomorrow, not the following Saturday, but in 2 Saturdays, and you have the class with me, okay? So pay attention to that, comparative forms. That's what we are actually going to be looking at in the next class we take. So, and right here, we got some vocabulary. So we have to complete. We continue talking about senses. Remember that senses is the main vocabulary topic for this unit. So, we have expressions right here like as well as, que significa también como, better, mejor, finer, ¿verdad? Que también significa como más chévere, more accurately, más correcto, o sí, más correcto, ¿no? More upset, eh, más enojado, not as good at, no tan bueno como, the most debated, el más debatido o lo más debatido, y to, que significa también, okay? So check out that vocabulary because it's going to be important and necessary for, the class that we're going to have in 2 weeks from now. And just to finish this section, of course, we are going to start using just the vocabulary we learned and the structures we learned, and we are going to do exercise number 4. Exercise number 4 says as following. Rewrite the sentences using the word given. Use between 2 and 5 words, including the word given. So what we're going to do here in this exercise, which is a little bit tricky, a little bit complicated, but very exciting, is that we are going to rewrite the sentences using the word in bold that is given to us. So, example, the first sentence says, I couldn't hear her because she spoke too quietly. Okay, let me see how this works. She didn't speak. Okay. Okay. She didn't speak loudly, and therefore, and so I couldn't hear her. Okay, something like that. I think something like that could work. She didn't speak loudly. She didn't speak loudly, and so I couldn't hear her. Or therefore I couldn't hear her. Something like that. Oh my God. Okay. That was tricky. That was tricky. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I'm gonna help you out with this because this is a challenge. I like challenges. So, but that was tricky. That was tricky. She didn't speak loudly enough for me to hear her. This is the thing. You have to use common sense. You know what I mean? You have to try to complete it as best as possible. So that means that you're gonna use many different things. But well, let's try number two. I think I'm gonna give it a try to all of them. So let's continue with the number two. Number two says the coffee was weaker than I liked. Okay, the coffee wasn't as weak. The coffee wasn't as weak as I liked. Let's see. Oh my God, this is no. My God, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a, I had a, it's not, oh, he's talking like the coffee was weaker than I like. So it wasn't as strong as I like. Yes, it makes sense. Okay, that was my bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was my bad. So let's go with exercise number 3. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh my God, so far, I haven't got one right. This is a pity. This is a pity. I need to continue improving. This is the thing about learning. Um, as you learn more, you come to the realization that there is a lot more to learn. You know, when you know little, you believe that you know everything. But when you know a lot more, the actual realization of that knowledge is that you have to continue learning. So let's continue with exercise number three. Exercise number three says Sam is deeper thinker than Ben. Sam thinks deeper than Ben, right? Sam thinks deeper than Ben. No, whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. Okay, Sam thinks more deeply. Yes. And I'm going to explain you why. It makes sense, right? So, for example, this is the thing. When we say Sam is a deeper thinker than Ben, we're using deeper as an adjective, right? As an adjective, because we're using the verb to be. But if I use think and I want to say, uh, I cannot use an adjective for an action, I have to use an adverb. So it is okay to say deeply. It makes a lot of sense. Computer, you tricked me one more time. Oh my God, I'm 3-0. Three and kneel right now. Three and kneel. 3-0. The computer is beating my ass. Okay, let's go with the exercise number four. Okay, exercise number four. The experience was too boring to repeat. Interesting. The experience was okay. Okay. The experience was not too interesting to repeat. Let me go through that, okay? Because I wanna beat this. I wanna beat this nigga. I wanna beat it. Okay. The experience was not interesting to repeat. Yeah, I think the experience was not interesting to repeat. My God, where are you taking this? Enough things. Okay, I almost got it. 90% of the exercise. Okay, 90% of the exercise. You gotta give it to me. Let's go with number five. She's the best cook in her class. Okay, I got this. She can cook better. She can cook better than anyone in her class. She can cook better than anyone else, than everyone else. Okay, she can cook better than everyone else. Everyone else. Okay, she can cook better than everyone else in her class. Let's go for it. My God, I fucking got it. I got the juice, guy. I got the juice. Yes. I'm 2-3 right now. Let's see if we can go. Let's see if we can go 3-3. I've never had such a strange feeling. Oh my God, I feel so excited right now. I'm very excited. I'm like shaking. I'm shaking. It's 3-2, 3-2. So let's go. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Okay. I've never had such a strange feeling. I've strange. Okay, strange feeling. I've never had. Oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, I've never had such a strange feeling. A strange. It's like two syllables. It's no more than that. So that's the strangest feeling I've ever had. Okay, that's the strangest feeling I've ever had. Let's go. Let's go, nigga. 3-3. We're 3-3. Yes, we did it. We did it. 3-3, brother. Look at that. Live television. I love this. Okay, so that's everything, please, guys, that I'm gonna ask you to do for this class. I think it would be very nice and very interesting that you watch the whole video. I'm gonna ask you to watch the whole video. Okay, so how will I know that you watch the whole video? Because I'm gonna ask you this question. You know, there is a series named Game of Thrones, right? And there is one character there, not my favorite character, but there is a line that I really like, that very like much, which says like it's like a dialogue, right? So I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna ask you, what do we say to death? Why? What do we say to death? And your answer has to be not today. Not today. That's how I will know that you watched the whole video. So I'm going to repeat. I'm going to ask you, what do we say to death? And you have to answer, not today. That's the way I will know that you watched the whole video. So thank you very, very much. And I'm going to see you in class in 2 weeks. So have a great and lovely weekend and enjoy it with family and friends. Enjoy life. Take care. Bye bye.